Hola, hola. Boa noite for me. Boa tarde where you are. Feliz quinta-feira. Hey, hey, hey now. Gotta keep practicing that Portuguese. Happy Thursday. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let's see. How are you doing? Let's see who was first in the chat. Oh, Steven. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? First in the chat today. Hey, K Renee. How you doing? Hola, hola, Double T. How you doing? Vicky G. How's it going in Jersey? I hear it's been cold. It has not been cold here. We were on a warm spell for a little bit. And tomorrow, friends, it's going to be 79 degrees. And how am I spending my day tomorrow? At the beach club, sipping sangria, looking at some boats, because y'all know I love boats. But yes, I'm like, ooh, for the next 3 days, it's going to be like 80. So, yes, I need to be outside. Hey, the coding nurse, how are you? I was just thinking about you. That's so funny. Hey, Greta King. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? Frederica, boa noite. Yes, you're still in Casa Elm. I love it. I love it. I love it. Michelle will be joining us next week. Yes, Sister Geek. Hey, 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 Pisces Pratt. Mary, how you doing? How you doing? Tanya's in the house. Jess A. Hey, 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 Blaxit Global family. Sonia, hey, how are you? TJRSS Bell, good evening. How are you? Mone. Oh my goodness, it's cold. Dust of snow? Dust of snow. Y'all may not know this, but Albany was my old stomping ground. Yes, Albany, New York, for yeesh, 14 years? Something like that. But that was young me. Young me could do those cold winters. Older me, more seasoned me cannot, which is why I'm in Lisbon, Portugal. I can't. I can't. Oh my gosh. No, no, no. Although it snows in Portugal, fun fact, way up north for like an hour. I was told that last night, actually. I was at an event. Hey, Black Girl Freed. I love that. Love that username. Yes. We need to be free. We are free. Jametta, how you doing? Hey, the Howards. Atam Amanya. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I love Michelle. Yes, only Michelle could get me up at like midnight, or was it 12:30? Some some odd hour where I'm normally sleeping to be stringing sentences together. Yes, the luxury bucket list. Yes. I know, Greta. Hang in there, girl. Hang in there, girl. It is hard. It is hard. The struggle is real. So, hope you all are doing well. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who don't know me, you might be watching me for the first time. I'm Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global, the host of the Blaxit Global podcast. So, if you are a Black person and you want to move abroad, I'm your girl. Or you want to travel, or travel then leads to you wanting to move abroad. I'm your girl. There's a new episode of the Blaxit Global podcast that's currently out, and another one that's going to drop on Monday. Gotta take a swig. I was eating cookies right before the live. So I was like, ooh, I gotta brush my teeth. And then, of course, the toothpaste now makes my mouth all dry. But that's what I get for trying to chow down on some cookies. Let me close some of this stuff because I look like I'm freezing a little bit for me. and hopefully I'm not for you. Uh, Before I get into tonight's topic, though, I love announcements. So this Saturday, I am hosting, I guess maybe hosting, moderating, I don't know. But a webinar with our friend Sandra Gomes Pinto, who was a sponsor for the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. So if you're looking to move to Portugal, we got you covered. We did it last year. You can still purchase the replays. You can get those in the link below this video. But Sandra is doing a webinar this Saturday, and I will be the host. So I'll be answering, well, more like facilitating, facilitating questions. She's the lawyer. She's going to talk all things legal, immigration, citizenship, all the things for those of you who are interested in moving to Portugal, or you're already in Portugal and you want to find out about permanent residency, you want to find out about renewals and citizenship. So I'm going to drop the link because that was not in the description of this video, because just sent out the press release today. But hopefully you can join. It's on Saturday. It's a free webinar. So I've been busy doing that all day today. So I'm excited. Hopefully you'll join us live. And then, like I said, the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit for anyone who is looking for one-stop shop. Let me tell you, we boiled the ocean with everything that you needed to know about moving to Portugal. We had Sandra. We had sessions on taxes on both sides, the US and Portugal, all those things. So you can find that. I'll drop the link to that here. And then in Blaxit Global Passport, next month, because we always have an accountability group that I facilitate. And next month, we will have a special guest, and we will be talking about housing, securing your housing abroad. So not specifically to Portugal, but for those of you who want to know how to do all that, you need to tap on in to Blaxit Global Passport, that be the community. We are not on social media, I think for obvious reasons. So definitely tap on in. Let me see who else is in here. Yes. Yes, I see. Brazilian Portuguese. Yes. I'm signing up next month for my Portuguese classes. Ooh, Winnie. What's the temperature in Chicago? I'm feeling like it's going to be cold. Hey, oh wow, smart. Yes, please empty those houses. Do all that decluttering now, please. Great question, Jess, on the time. And I knew somebody was going to ask, and that's what I should have been doing instead of eating cookies. But I know that the time of the webinar is, I think it's 5 o'clock my time, which I think is 1 o'clock for you. Yes, it's 5 o'clock Lisbon time. So that would be 1 o'clock for those of you who are on the East Coast. Yes. But when you click on the link, it should sync to your time zone and give you the right time. Yes. Oh, good. Yay, Frederica. I'm so glad you're no, you don't have to, put makeup on. You don't have to do anything. Just show up. If you want to be seen, you can be seen. I mean, I will have my face all made up because, I gotta look good. Hey, Dr. Donna. All right. Hey, Teresa's in the house. Hey. So it was so funny. A few minutes before the live, I was like, oh, I started like getting my stuff ready to come into the office. And you know that song, like it's the most wonderful time of the year. I was thinking that about this. Like it is scouting season. It is like the most wonderful time of the year. Because you know what? Winter is gone. and going. Some people, winter's still hanging on for dear life, even though the groundhog said like that it was going to be early spring. I think some of y'all are still experiencing winter. But it is the time where like, kids are going on spring break, adults need to be going on spring break, and it's a great time to scout. Or if you can't actually scout, it's a great time to prepare for your scouting trip. So we're going to talk all about scouting tonight, how to get the most out of your scouting trip. Because it is not like going on vacation or going on holiday, as we now say. It's not like that, right? In order to have your scouting trip be the best it can possibly be, you need to know the best way to handle it so you get the most out of it. And that's what I want for you. I don't want you to spend money and go somewhere and then you're like, oh, and you're moving around like a tourist. And then you pick a country and then you're like, oh, snap, all of these things that you didn't remember to do. Or going somewhere sight unseen. Because let me tell you, if I had done that with Costa Rica, aka Nosta Rica, wasn't gonna go down. Wasn't gonna go down. Yes, I see you guys are registering. Yes, so I'm glad to see you. Uh, Great question. So, Roadshow to California. So, the reason why it's called the Roadshow to California is Sandra's actually going to be in California. She's actually there now. So, she's in the US and I'll be fielding it from Portugal. And so, Sandra is on a roadshow to assist Americans that are in America and who want to move to Portugal, because she and her firm specializes in helping Americans, Canadians, I think in Brits, make transitions. And so she is attending some meetings there, doing the good work, singing the good cheer about Portugal. And so that's why it's called Roadshow to California. Great catch. Yes. Look, winter has a vice grip. So I've heard. Our winter was mild. The coldest it got was 47. Well, really, like, yeah, 47, 45. And that would be like first thing in the morning before the sun comes up. And oddly enough, the sun doesn't come up here until like close to 8. I mean, now, because, the sun's moving. But when we were like in the beginning of winter, it would be like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why is it still dark? Why is it still dark? Hey, Marguerite is in the house. Hey, Jess. Yes. So let's talk about this scouting stuff. So it is my favorite time of the year. And when I think about moving to Portugal, when I did my scouting trip here in April of 2022, it was interesting, right? So what happened, I don't know if I shared this on a video before, but so I had my scouting trip planned. And some of you all know my daughter rides horses. And her dad was away, but he was traveling back. And then, I was going to take her to a riding lesson, drop her off to him, and then head to the airport. And she's at the like tail end of her lesson, maybe the last 10 minutes. And I didn't even pack because I was like, I'll have plenty of time to get to the airport. And I looked at my phone and then I looked up and she was airborne and had fallen off the horse. And she had never fallen before. Of course, like all the gasp, like the air just left my body. And she's like laying there. And of course, y'all know she's fine because she was on the show like a month and a half ago. But in that moment, and she's laying there, I'm like, ugh, right? Like all the air. I'm jumping over fences to try to get into the ring, make sure, fingers are able to move, right? Eyes are able to blink, toes are moving. We go to the emergency room. By some miracle, because she was, still a minor. So she had to go to pediatric emergency room, not the adult. I think that also had something to do with how fast we got out, but they ran all the tests and all the stuff. And she got out. Then there was the question in my mind, do I get on this plane? I still had like a little less than 2 hours to get to the airport. I'm like, do I get on this plane to go to Portugal? And yeah, I got on the plane and went to Portugal. But that was the most challenging decision I had to make, because in that moment I had to think about it. I was like, well, she had a concussion. Nothing you can do with a concussion but let it kind of do its thing. She was going away with her dad anyway for spring break. So he was going to be watching her. And I got on the plane and checked in. And I also thought about, like, hey, guess what? There are going to be times, hopefully nothing ever like that again. Had fallen off the horse again, but luckily it wasn't anything both times. But I had to realize there are going to be life events that I'm not going to be there for, and that it was a test to see how I could manage that emotionally and how she could manage that emotionally. And so, case in point, fast forward to this week, she's on spring break and had her wisdom teeth taken out, all four of them. My baby's face is all blown up, all blown up. But she's recovering. And I'm happy. But she's being looked after by her dad. But again, one of those things, like, you learn to manage these things. And so what I want to offer it to you is, as you start to think about things on your move, and I've been getting some messages from different people or that have left comments on videos, you are going to be challenged, right? Life still happens. Life still lives while you're abroad, while you're planning for your move abroad. And so if you think more expansively, not just about, the high of, oh, wow, what it will be like when my life is, ABC, right? And that's good. That's something to give you to hold on to. But you also have to be realistic that things in life will happen. And how are you emotionally going to prepare for those things? Whether it be incidents, accidents, surgeries, death, which is another inevitable thing. But that's why I want you to be prepared. Yeah, all the things came out. All the things. Yes. Let me tell you, I was an emotional, I wouldn't say wreck, but definitely like part of that trip. I was like, oh my gosh, right? Because, you get, especially moms, right? The mom guilt, right? Like, am I doing the right thing? But I also, like I said, it was a teachable moment for her. It was a teachable moment for me. We managed it. And yeah, that's what happens. Yes. And so when you're challenged, and I say this in Passport all the time to our members, it's like the closer you get to goal, right, the more you will be tested. The sooner you can recognize that it's a test, then you can say, oh, okay, got it, right? A test, plot twist, whatever, right? Reframe it and keep it moving. But don't, although we're humans, but try not to get dissuaded, right? When you're dissuaded, then you may not pass that test. Just said, these darn tenders trying to take my. Let me tell you, and the amount of money that I had to pay for these teeth coming out, I'm like, look, I could have put on a plane ticket a couple times to come over to Europe for what I just say with insurance. Thanks, America. Mm-hmm. Hey, Lynette, how you doing? So back on topic. So love this time of year. Wanted to share that to you because I think a lot of this transparency is helpful because you are on whatever part of the journey that you're on. I share these things from my own lived experience so that you know, like if slash when something like that happens, you know, it gives you a reference point, right? You don't want to present like everything is like popcorn and lollipops when you jump on a plane or when you make this decision and, you know, the yellow brick road just starts to appear and you're off to la 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 land, right? Life happens. And so, you know, you need to be able to manage through these things. Um, so okay, back on track. So I'm curious before I go into like this whole scouting thing, where are some of the places that you guys are interested in going? Drop it in the comments so I can see. Because that'll help. I don't think everybody wants to come to Portugal. Let me know. But look, all y'all might just be on here because you want to know about Portugal. But you know, I help people go other places too, you know. So where are you guys looking to scout? Ooh, Scotland. Yes. Teresa, Spain and Portugal. Yes, yes. Love it, love it. Drop some more, y'all. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Tell me where you're going. Yes. Japan. Whoa. I met a couple last night at an event and they had moved to Portugal from Japan. They were in Japan for several years. CDMX. Ooh, Querétaro. Wow. Portugal. Yeah, I know luxury vagabond. Yes. Ooh, Chile. Poland. Wow. Look at these. Wow. Thailand and Portugal, Mexico. Yes. All right. Look at y'all. You are in, I love it. I love seeing this. Yes, half a year in each place. Love that. We'll talk about that. Oh, wow. Uh, yes. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Love it. Love it. Yes. And I want to get back to, yes, I want to touch on this before I get into the topic. So, the Howard worldview, this resonated, what I just said resonated with them. You're on a scouting trip when Auntie suddenly died. Oh, I'm so sorry. After the extreme grief, flights back, funerals, we realized that we had survived our worst nightmare. The what if someone dies question. Yes, yes. I too have had to deal with that in the family since I've been here, right? And these things are inevitable. And so I want you, when you're thinking about scouting, some of you are considering countries, and you know it's a good segue into scouting, because some of you may be considering countries that are close to your country of origin, wherever that be. Some of you are in the United States, some of you are in other parts of the world. Some of you are considering scouting countries that are on the other side of the globe. Y'all know I scouted New Zealand, always Bay, in 2017 and in 2020, right? That was 28 hours flight time from where I was living in New Jersey versus 6.5 now to Portugal. So you might need to think about, the countries that you're considering. What are the flights like? Not just cost, because that fluctuates, but flight time. Uh, if you have to connect, because it's not easy to go from New Jersey to New Zealand, right? You have to cross in another country. So, what are the routes that you can choose? Especially, what if there's a route that is you're able to do, but then look, we live in a global world where conflicts arise, right? What if one of those routes are compromised? What would be the duration for you to go to the country that you're choosing as your adopted country or considering? What does that look like? So these are some of the things, like I said, that are beyond what you would think about if you were just, going on holiday, right? When you're going on vacation, you're not thinking of all these things because why do you need to? But if you're living long term, these are some things that you may want to consider. Not only because you'll be making flights back to your country of origin potentially, or go into other countries, right? What does it cost to go within the region that you're considering? But also, look, friends and family might want to visit. I mean, unless you don't want your friends and family to know. Some of y'all are moving like so far underground. Y'all got aliases. I hear people out there changing their names when they get abroad. I'm like, I love this. Like a whole new identity, witness protection program, and everything. You made your own. Love it, love it, love it. But these are some of the things that you have to consider, right? Also, when you're scouting, again, you might be attracted to like the weather. That was a big selling point for me in Portugal because I lived, as I shared, in upstate New York in Albany for 14 years. I'm from New York originally, Boogie Down Bronx, and I lived in Jersey for maybe 15 years, 16, somewhere around there before I left. And I was tired of Northeast winters. And I self diagnosed seasonal affective disorder like the majority of my adult life. And I say the majority because this year is the first time in my adult life I didn't get depressed. I didn't go on my like overeating jags. Cause boy, I used to be able to put down a pint of Ben and Jerry's and some Haagen Dazs in one sitting. Mm. I always have my little stretchies on in the wintertime. But this year, with the sun, no snow, temperate climate, that was important, right? So you got to think about like, what are the things that you're really, really wanting from that next destination and considering that as you plan your scouting. So, let me go look at this comments for a second. Luxury Bucket List said, weather is huge. As a native New Yorker who lives in South Beach now, I don't want winter ever again. You got that right. And one of the things that also, because I had conversations with some people this week, it differs. And that was something I didn't consider, right? So, for example, someone from the West Coast of the US, and I'm using Portugal as an example, but if you're from the West Coast and you came here, now for me, I'm from the East Coast. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like palm trees are still palming. And, we had some 60 weather days. We had some, cold days. And I say cold, 47 degrees, some rain. But if you're from the West Coast and you're used to sun in the wintertime, and then you were confronted with some of the weather that we were having in Portugal lately, that could affect your mood, right? That would be seasonal affective, right? It doesn't necessarily mean if you're in the East Coast and now, you're somewhere else, like it can affect you based on where you live in the world and then where you move. So think about like the climate that you are living in and what you might want to change, but anything about who you are as a person or something that you've experienced. And like I said, for me, climate was a big high on the list because I was tired of being depressed like 4 months out of the year. And the way I started to cheat it was traveling. Which brings me to my next point is you also may want to, even though this is like the most wonderful time of the year, you may want to consider traveling during the shoulder season, which this is. This is kind of like the shoulder season because we're in this like between, for some of y'all, between spring and winter. So before it's peak travel season. So obviously summer is peak travel season. Spring break is one where you see like these spikes in airfare. But to the extent that you can travel before its peak holiday or peak travel season, wherever you're considering moving, is going to be helpful. One, because airfare is cheaper, but two, you're able to see a country, minus, especially if it has tourists, right? Like minus the big, influx of people. And that'll just help you kind of get a clearer picture. If you're anything like me, I'm an introvert, so I don't do crowds very well. So it was great for me to come to Portugal in April. Both times I scouted the country, I scouted in April. But leads me to my next point. If you are averse to a certain season, it may be worth your while to travel during that season. Let me explain. If you're moving to a different part of the world, right, which most of us are, um, you might not have a basis of comparison. Like when I went, I'll use a domestic example. I went to Vegas years ago. And for years, I kept hearing people talk like, oh, wow, it's hot in Vegas, but it's dry heat. It's a dry heat. And I was like, what the hell's a dry heat, right? And then when I went to Vegas and it was like 80, no, it was like 90 degrees. And it didn't feel like 90 because I was able to like experience what dry heat felt like. It felt a little cooler. It was still hot, but it felt cooler because the humidity wasn't there. So if there's a part of the world where, they have a rainy season or a dry season or something that is just like a little hard for you to conceptualize, it might be worth your while to visit during that season because you'll want to see, can you tolerate that? Or is this, if you have the ability and the means, right? Can you travel to another part of the world during that season? Or at least for part of it, right? In this way, you can kind of like cheat it a little bit and be able to tolerate. Maybe you rent out your place for 3 months while it's rainy season and you go to, if you're in Bali and it's rainy season or in Thailand, maybe you go to Europe, right? Or the continent. So that's another thought. I'm looking at some of the comments. Hey, we had a channel member, Sheila, in the house. I just wanted to say a quick hello. Hello, Sheila. Recently, I haven't been able to listen live, but always listen to the replay. Thank you. And thank you for being a channel member. Yes. Hope everyone's Blaxit plans are going well. See you in Lisbon in the fall. Yes. Ataja. Awesome. Yes. Hey, Dr. Linda. Dr. Linda's been on the channel. How you doing? I want to hear how your plans are going. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm also trying to star some of these questions so I get back to them. Wow. Thailand, Panama, Oaxaca, Kyoto, Cameroon. Yes. Y'all are doing the thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I thought there was another question that I missed. Nope. Okay. I think I got them. I think it's just the one. All right. Just if you have any questions, feel free to put a Q. That'll help me find it a little bit faster. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay. Yeah, I don't really like rain doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't go on for like a long time, like days. So here, what I've had to get used to is it'll rain in the morning. So for example, yesterday it was gorgeous. And then this morning I got up to take the dog out and I was like, oh, it's cloudy. Like the sun wasn't full sun. So I'm like, okay. So I take her out. As soon as I come back in, it starts raining. Rain is not in the forecast for at least 4 more days. I'm like, what the hell? I thought we were past this. So here, through winter, it would rain in the morning for a little bit. Then it would kind of like switch over, and then the sun would come out midday, mid afternoon. And I had to get used to that because I am not a fan of rain. And especially with the hair straight. It's going back for y'all that are curious. It's going back. It was a nice little foray, but it's going back. Yes. I'm just looking. Uh yeah. Diane said she's in California, needs sun for my physical and mental health. Absolutely. Yes. And it's so, we don't realize when we're in it, or maybe we do, uh, how taxing it can be, like to deal with severe weather on whatever spectrum, right? It could be extreme hot, extreme cold, something in between. Like I knew I couldn't live in Seattle. Mm-mm-mm. I definitely could not live in Minneapolis. Mm-mm-mm. Right? And that a change in your environment can make all the difference in the world. Like my next place, as much as I love my apartment, my next place, I need to have proximity to the water because being by the beach, I mean, that's why I said tomorrow, I'm like, ooh, 80-degree weather, hit the beach. Hit the beach. Yes. Black Girl Freed, I spent the month of February in Johannesburg. Oh my gosh. Wow. Regretted coming to Maryland the week before daylight. Oh, yeah. The weather plus the additional time change wrecked my mental health. It does take a toll. It really does. And I think about all those years, right, that I suffered. Um, and just the relief that I felt for the first time, literally. And I kept saying it to like people. I'm like, oh my gosh. And, so much so that I had to like think about it. Was I still just like on that, euphoria from moving? Because, like I said, we've had some weird weather patterns that have kept me in the house at times for a couple days and didn't get the low lows, didn't get the, I don't know what this is in my eye, didn't get the, I'm going to down pints of ice cream like all the time. That's my weakness, or at least that was my weakness. That was my weakness. But no. Yes. And as I'm getting older, these knees and this body got to work. Yes. Yes. We get vitamin D from the sun. Yes. All right. I'm going back into the list. So, another thing you want to do on your scouting trip, food is important. And I mean, as we all know, right? We need food to live. But one thing that I've noticed as I've traveled the world is, and some of y'all have probably gone to more countries than I, so let me know. But food deserts, for me, have seemed to be an American phenomenon. Like, I have been hard pressed to be in an area of the world where there was like a food desert. And I'm talking about more caution, right? Like asterisk, developed countries, where it's been like a food desert. And so I've been places where you see like people selling fruits and vegetables off the side of the road. You have the bigger stores and things like that. But it's important when you're scouting to understand where your sources of food are going to come from. Are there big commercial grocery stores? Are there smaller like bodegas? In Portugal, they have fruterias and mercados and mini mercados, cafes and things like that, and bakeries and things like that. those are going to be important because you'll want to go in there, one, while you're on your scouting trip, look at food prices. You want to have a clear understanding of what the costs are for those essential foods, right? You'll need eggs. I still buy water, as you can see. And water is ridiculously affordable here, particularly compared to where I came from. Gosh, how much I used to spend on water every week. But you want to look for, what the cost of all of those essentials, bread, things like that. And then those comfort foods. Y'all know me, it's grits. I finally ran out of grits. I'm mourning because they don't have grits here, and no one has come here yet with any grits for me. So if y'all come in here anytime soon, hook your friend up with some grits. Um, but what are those essential foods, right? Like for me, I used to eat turkey bacon every morning. They don't have turkey bacon here in Portugal. So had to find a substitute. So what are the things in your diet that you feel like you must have? And what are the things that you want to know, like, hey, what are these things going to cost? How are they running? Right? What are Quaker grits? Thank you. Quaker grits. Old fashioned or like the 5-minute ones, preferably. Um, Thank you. And you want to see like what are the prices of things, what's the cost of bread, milk, juice, all those things, and then the substitute things that you need to look out for. Right? I don't have grits, so I have to think about my meals a little bit differently, especially now that I've run out. And so think about those things. It took me like 2 months to find oatmeal. I mean, it's in the store, but I also, that's where I'm going with this point, is grocery stores outside the US are obviously laid different than, the grid that is in the US, where you have, usually you have your refrigerated stuff on the outer sides of the store. And there are things that are in different aisles. Like I don't buy eggs in the refrigerated section. Eggs and milk and juice are sold in aisle. And depending on the store that you're going to, certain cheeses might be sold in aisle, not refrigerated. That's where it's been in most parts of the world. And you have to realize, like, those hens and those chickens aren't kept in refrigerators, right? It's because of the process of food and how it's processed in the United States, which requires that milk and eggs be refrigerated. But in the majority of the world, that is not the case. And so nope, eggs do not go in the refrigerator. They sit on my counter. I get them on the shelf, and then they sit on the shelf in my home. And they are the best eggs. Actually, I know my brother will be watching. Usually he watches a replay. So when he was here a few weeks ago, and we went out for breakfast, and he was like, "Oh," we ordered eggs, and it was so good. He was like, "Wow, I didn't sneeze." And I'm like, "What do you mean you didn't sneeze?" He's like, "No, when I'm back in the States, like I eat eggs and I sneeze, and that's why I don't eat eggs." But like, I wouldn't say every day he was here, but quite a few days he was here, he ate the eggs. And I was like, "What?" And I said, "Well, maybe it's because, they're not refrigerated. Obviously, like I said, the way they're processed in the States." So we were messaging the other day, and he said something about, "Oh, I went to the place and I sent him a picture because, I got to rub it in." Like the little sister I am. And I said, "Oh, this is our breakfast." And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Are you back to sneezing?" He's like, "Yeah." As soon as he got back to the States, ate those eggs, and yep, back to sneezing. Those eggs in the States are some of the palest little things, But you got to see like the ones here, like they're like a deep orange. Oh, they're so yummy. But that was how it was when I was in New Zealand. I think that was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time when I went shopping. And I was like looking all over in the refrigerated section. I'm like, where the hell are eggs? And then I walked in the aisle and I was like, what the? The weirdest thing. And then I cracked the egg and it was so good. But yeah, do not, do not, do not. Luxury vagabond. Yes. Wow. Get out of here for real. Well, I mean, I don't doubt it. Yeah. Pisces Pratt said allergies just disappear. Poof pow. Yep. Yeah. It is wild. It's interesting. I was reading, I think I might have said this the other week. 70% of the food supply in the US is ultra processed, which means it has like chemicals and preservatives and things that are put together to either increase the shelf life or make a whole new something out of several other things. And in the article, it was talking about how ultra processed foods are bad for you and they cause like, cancers and, diminished mental capacity. And then it went on to say in the article that 70% of the US food supply is ultra processed. What the hell? And then there was a map. I shared it in our group the other day, our chat, and it was showing in, I think, yeah, it was a chart of Europe and how much processed food is in the supply and like in the average like food basket, and Portugal's was like at 10%. Yeah, Portugal all the way. 12? I spend €2.67 or 3, depending on what size I buy of eggs. That's insane. I mean, I used to spend $12 for water. Yeah, for water. And now, like, I spend like €1 for this big one, or under €1, something like that. Yes, health is wealth. Tanisha said, yeah, makes us sick. Oh, let me tell you about the juice here. Fresh squeezed. I have a whole new appreciation for orange juice. You go somewhere, even at the restaurants, you're like, oh, I want orange juice. They come out with, my brother was here, he got to see it. They came out, went in the back, came out with this whole big thing of oranges, put it in the machine, bloop, 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 and then fresh squeezed. I'm like, Tropicana, who? No, no. And then my weakness now is maracuja. Oof, goodness gracious. Shar put me on to maracuja. Oh my goodness, life has never been the same. Wow. That's interesting that you said that. And I hadn't thought about that till I just read this comment. I was getting heartburn, so much so that I had stopped eating anything with tomato sauce. I was getting heartburn. Is that the same? It's like acid reflux. I was getting like a little bit of that. And they put me on something like, I should know this because I used to work on Nexium a long time ago, a PPI. And then I stopped taking that. But in any event, stopped consuming tomatoes and tomato products for the most part. And interestingly enough, I hadn't thought about that till you popped that up, because I've been eating pasta, pizza. Actually, we're having our Blaxit Global Portugal community because we've grown. We had a member that arrived last Saturday and another member that's arriving next Saturday. And so that'll be 3 so far this year. And then we have 2 more arriving in June. But in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, we're having our another freedom party, but it's going to be a pizza making experience. So we are going to be making pizzas. Uh, but yeah, I hadn't thought about that since I've been here. I've not had any acid reflux, any heartburn, anything related to that. And I don't have no hangover when I drink the vino, but that's the story for another day. Oh yeah. I bought all kinds of stuff from the grocery store today, and I thought I bought something on the expensive end today. I don't recall. Oh yeah, because I bought some things for the house, like just to replenish some things. So not my usual like shopping. So it was on the higher end. And by the higher end, it came to 44 euros. And usually I spend like 35 when I go grocery shopping. So it was like 44. And I'm like, and as soon as I got home, I'm like, wow, just this 2 bags of groceries, it would have been easily 80, 90 in the States for the same thing that I bought. 80 or 90 easily. Okay, back to the list. So I talked about scouting different times of the year, airports. So you want to figure out like where you're going to be living and where the closest airport is. It may not seem like it's important, but if you travel a lot, you need to factor in how long it's going to take to get from where you're thinking of moving to and living to the airport. So if you're like 2 hours away, or you have like one of those smaller airports in between, you have to think about not only the time, but what the cost is going to be for you to get from where you're planning on living to the airport. It's going to be important to know. Also, if you're traveling, you want to think about what it's going to cost for you to travel to and from. Or should you look at like maybe there's a nearby airport in another city or in another country? So you'll want to consider the cost of flights and the closest airport. You also want to, excuse me, think about the cost of technology. This one is important. We live in a technological world. So when I came here in September, I knew I needed a new iPhone because my phone was like 6 years old, I think, something like that. And it was doing like 6, 7 year old iPhone issues. But I also knew that buying that phone in Europe was going to be really expensive because I got the latest one. So I happened to be going back to the States for my daughter's birthday, and I bought the phone in the States. And then, because phones don't really matter, phones and computers work in either country, in any country, really, right? So they make them dual voltage. So I bought it there. That buying this phone here was going to be like maybe, oh, 1.5 times. Yeah, it was going to be quite expensive. I think it was going to be like 1,700, something like that, for the same phone. And I was like, nope. So you want to think about the cost of technology. What is it if you need to replace like a laptop? What is it going to be if you need to buy any other piece of equipment? Where can you get it and how much is it going to cost? Does it make sense for you to either, purchase something and have it shipped later with your belongings? Or is it something that, you'll have to, procure in your home country on a visit? These are some of the things that you have to think about, but particularly technology. Hmm. 60 for one bag? Whew, you should see me when I come from the store here. I come out with 2 bags, no less than 2 bags, and 35. 35. I didn't like red wine till I got to Portugal either, Steven. It's just so daggone good. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, and the other night, oh my gosh. The other night I was out with one of our Blaxit Global members, who's here, one of our original 12. And we went to this Lebanese restaurant the other night, and they had this Lebanese wine. When I tell you that wine was so daggone good, we bought a bottle, and then they had, I should have even done that. Now that I'm saying the story again. Like, I should have just gone back and bought the bottle. But it was so daggone good. She was like, oh, we have one bottle left. I don't know why I didn't just buy that bottle, that other bottle. That wine was so good. I took a picture of the label, but like I can't read it. But I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find that. It was so good. The wine here is, oh my gosh, I can't. So what else to look out for? When you're on your scouting trip, your favorite foods, as I mentioned, right? Hair care, ladies and gents, our hair care products. So if you are partial to certain brands, scope those out while you're on your scouting trip. Don't leave it to, oh, they have Carol's daughter. They may have it here. They'll probably have it here. Oh, they have insert brand. No, 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 my friends. No, no, no. You're either going to have to bring your own stuff, see if they have it in your country that you're considering, or if you are so brave, start to look at substitutes. Start to look at substitutes because it's important. Like I brought what I thought was 6 months worth of products. And now I'm 6 months here and I still got them. So I did right. Like I bought quite a few, almost to the point where I had a small luggage and it was just hair products, right? But think about those things because you want to at least give yourself, if you can't find something comparable and you wind up, having to bring your own in whatever place that you call your new home, at least you are giving yourself, a buffer to either find something comparable or figure out where you can source it, or if you have a trip back to your home country to stock up on more. But during your scouting trip, do yourself a favor, find that. And with that, look for places and get recos for barbers and beauty salons because, get those names, put them in your phone, snap pictures, get recommendations, find out what pricing is. What I did on my first scouting trip to Portugal, I got my hair done. I got my hair in twists because, you guys have seen me in twists. That's my preferred style. And I was like, oh, you know what? Let me see how it is. When I tell you how affordable it was, washed my hair, conditioned my hair, installed the twists with the hair. And this was in Porto. And it was €70. And y'all know I got a lot of hair. And that same style in the States, I paid $230. And in the States, they want you to have your hair washed already and prepped, blown out. Like if I could do all that, or if I wanted to do all that, why do I need you? Right? Like The whole point of paying you is because I don't have to do the work. And they want you to buy the hair and bring the hair. So I got to find the hair, get the hair, bring the hair, wash the hair, prep the hair. And I got a lot of hair. I done did more than half the work, friends, but I'm paying a premium. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Ah, Iris just became a channel member, y'all. Hey, Iris. Hey, welcome to the club. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Yes. Hey. Thank you for joining. You should join Iris, become a channel member. Yay. Yes. All right. Let's see. Yes, definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I got my hair done before I left. I got it from my daughter's graduation. And that sucker cost me $300. And I don't get box braids because I have a ridiculous amount of hair. So I'm like, no, 10 hours to install those bad boys, which is why I don't do box braids because I know I have a lot of hair. And I'm like, ah. So my butt was raw. I done spent $300. Took 12 hours to get those suckers out. Um, and then I get my hair twisted here and it's like 80. Washed, conditioned, the whole thing. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You ain't catching me back in there. Oh, yes. Yes. Now the stylist wants you to pay to book, right? You have to put money down to hold your appointment in the States. I've done my hair myself, but there are times where I've had to get it done for a special occasion like her graduation, right? Or if I'm going on vacation. And it would kill me because it was so expensive. I was like, you just have to factor what I'm going to spend on vacation and then add like hair money on top of that. So yeah, you had to start putting. My calendar opens up a month in advance, some of them 2 months in advance. Then you have to put a deposit down, hold your day. Then you read this like litany of rules about not being late, washing your hair. If your hair is a certain length, it's going to be extra. If your hair is not detangled, it's going to be extra. It's like all of this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm all for people making money, but I'm just going to say it. How anti-Black, right? My hair is 4C. Long, thick, dense 4C hair. That's just my genetic makeup. You know this because you're a Black hairstylist. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to be in their bag. Well, y'all gonna get your hands out of my bag. Mm-mm. Yeah, then they got the nerve to be on the phone, doing all kinds of shenanigans, stopping in the middle of your hair, eating something. And these aren't real like whole like salon type. These are like the Instagram link in bio. I got a chair in my mom's extra room stylists. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So for those of you out there that know how to do hair, move abroad. You will make your money because we're moving and we need people who can do our hair. So look, I just gave somebody a new business. All right. So special requirements. So if you have medical needs, accommodations, any special circumstances, special medications that you have to take on a regular basis, or if you need assisted devices to maneuver around, During your scouting trip, you would want to find out the cost of those medications, if they carry those medications in the country that you are looking at, how much those medications cost, how much any devices cost, any particular specialty that you might need, medical or otherwise. You want to start looking for those then. Um, and I also think that when you're on a scouting trip, depending on the length of your trip, it also can help you to assess the quality of healthcare. We know healthcare in the US isn't that great, but do something like low risk. So like get your teeth clean. That's something that's usually like you can do same day appointments, something that, depending on your tolerance level for dental care, could be something that's like low risk. And this way you can see, like, hey, how much is it out of pocket because you're traveling as a tourist? Um, and then also, like, what the customer service is, what the quality of care is. Because again, you're moving from being a tourist to potentially being a resident. And so this is going to be your day to day. You're not going to be taking flights potentially to go back to your home country, especially if your home country is the United States. You don't want to go back there for medical care. It's a fortune. I was just talking to Sandra earlier as we were talking about the webinar for Saturday, and she was telling me about this woman because I said, "Oh, how's your trip going?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, this healthcare is crazy here." And I was like, "You don't say." And so met someone she was meeting with, and they had to go in hospital for 3 days. 3 days. I forgot for what, but a 3 day hospital stay, $20,000. I was like, okay. But it wasn't outrageous because when I had to go in the hospital 2 years ago, I was in the hospital for 3.5 days, and it was $32,000. $32,000. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Word of Psychotherapy, another channel member. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. All right. Okay. Going down the list. Grooming services. We talked about that for the humans, but for those of you who are pet parents like myself, you also want to think about what it's going to be like for your pet. So, case in point, when I scouted Costa Rica, one of the reasons why, aside from the other issues I had when I was in Costa Rica, one of the issues I had was while I did see dogs there, they were more like street dogs. So I think some of them had owners, but even the ones that had owners kind of were like street dogs. And y'all have seen Bailey. She's bougie, right? She's a bougie little princess. And I'm like, she is not going to do well here with these dogs, right? And I didn't see, not that they don't have it, right? But like places where I could get her groomed. She's a dog that needs to be groomed regularly, every about 5 to 6 weeks. So, like finding a groomer, that was another reason why, even though Bali is like close to my heart, I do love Bali. I would probably have to scope that out if I went there. But also, now I think about it, when I was there almost 3 years ago, Bali, or Indonesia, I should say, does not allow for the importation of pets, of dogs specifically. So that took that out of the equation. So think about that if you are a pet parent and you want to bring your pet with you. What is it going to cost? What are the requirements? For example, when I was considering moving to New Zealand, New Zealand had a 14-day quarantine. So she would, be in cargo. I would have had to bring her there, and then I would have had to pay for her to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So some countries have specific rules about breeds. They have specific rules about the amount of time that a pet is in quarantine. And then you have to think about, well, where's the closest vet? What type of foods? So just like foods are different for humans, they are different for dogs. So do they have, or dogs, cats, insert pet, um, do they have the brand that your animal is used to in the country that you're considering? These are things that you're going to have to think about. And if they don't, what's the substitute, just like for humans? And then specifically for pets, their digestive system can be sensitive. And so, do you think about transitioning them, and how much food do you bring from, that they had before, to kind of ease their digestive system, to make that transition that much smoother? So that is something you will definitely have to think about. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you want to definitely try Indonesia. Look into Indonesia again, just because I know at one point they did allow them, but when I went 2 years ago, that was a wrap. Yeah, yeah. It's good having a fur baby. It is. Bailey was my pandemic pup. So, yes. Yes, they processed the eggs. I'm not going to go on a tangent, but yes, I am. So here's the deal, y'all. White eggs are only in America. Sit on that for a minute. Everybody else got brown eggs. Just saying. Just saying. Thank you, LaShawn. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Is it easy to get meds there sans prescription? Yes. Yes. So when you need something from the pharmacy, and there's pharmacies everywhere. And I guess the question is specific to Portugal. Yes. Pharmacies are everywhere. You can just go, depending on what you need, you can get it, or if you have to pay out of pocket, it's very little. Like I had to get, when I was having physical therapy, when I first got here for my jaw, I had to get a muscle relaxer. And that, of course, was a prescription, because that's considered like a controlled substance. And they were like, oh, I have to pay out of pocket. And I was like, okay. So then I'm like all traumatized from the US. I know what paying out of pocket is, right? So I remember having a script that was like $300 when I didn't have insurance. And they gave me the pills, and it was €9. And I was like, wait, what? What? Like, I have a colonoscopy coming up. Well, though, I'm getting that bad boy rescheduled, because I just went through like the whole prep stuff, not the like prep to drink, because I remember that. The prep of, they send you an email with all of the like a presentation with like all the things that you need to know about the exam. It was like a video of what it looks like with the scope. And, I had to have my translate on because it's all in Portuguese. And then it was like getting ready for it, like when to stop eating like solid foods and all this other stuff. And as I'm going through this and I had to think about it, I was like, well, damn, I don't remember having to stop eating solid foods 3 days in advance, but I was like, okay, fine. I can deal with that. The worst part is the original appointment, I didn't realize, was 6 p.m. And I forgot that I had to stop eating, right? Like the whole management thing. So now I have to get it rescheduled because I'm like, there's no way. That means I would go like almost a day and some change without eating and drinking because you can't drink any fluids or anything. So you take the barium or whatever it is, and then in theory, you would take it right before you go to bed, go to sleep, wake up, go to the hospital, get the exam. My appointment's at 6 p.m. So I do all the prep the night before, then I'd have to go the entire day into the evening. I'm gonna die. It's like I could probably survive without the food part, but water? I was like, no, that bad boy needs to be rescheduled. So it leads me to my next point while you're on a scouting trip. So make it kind of goes with, I'm going to try and put this one together because I'm looking at my notes. So this is where, like for me, I have, if you guys have gotten participated in the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit, Serenity was one of our sponsors. I use Serenity. They are a medical concierge, so they schedule my appointments. They facilitate anything. So, for example, I had some blood work and some other tests done, but I didn't get the results. They contacted the hospital on my behalf. They're going to be the ones that reschedule this. I do the least in my life right now. I outsource 90% of my life. So it's great to have, like have them do that. So it leads me to my next point when you're on your scouting trip is making connections with not only expats when you are on your scouting trip, but find some locals, friends, okay? Because you will need fixers in your new country, especially if you're moving to a country where English isn't widely spoken or the primary language, right? You'll need someone who can advocate on your behalf. You'll need someone who can, listen to what trips me up every time, those damn IVR messages, because I wish there was like a speed playback so I can slow down the speech long enough for me to decipher what's being said. You need a fixer. So being able to get in community helps you find these people that much faster. I know, like, for example, I need to find a new housekeeper, right? So, like, being able to do that, being able to have someone who can do, medical stuff for me, that's important. So, in your scouting trip, think about the things that you're going to interface with, usually systems, and what the learning curve is. I don't want a steep learning curve. I will pay the money. So I encourage you, like, do that when you're on your scouting trips. And I would say that, like, how should I say this? If you fall in love with a country, definitely go down that path and do the deeper work. But like for me, for example, when I was in Costa Rica, like I already knew, like they won. It wasn't gonna work, so I didn't need to worry about finding a fixer. But if it's a country that you're like, hey, I could see myself here, that's when like all this stuff comes in handy. Okay. Hospital, staying on this medical thread, you want to find out where the closest hospital is. Usually, that depending on the country, there may be like free healthcare, universal healthcare, might be a two system, so private and public hospital, but you want to find out where the closest one is and look it up on the Googles, like see how it's rated. Particularly if you find that you are in love with a certain neighborhood. Maybe there's a certain neighborhood that you really like, but what's the closest hospital? What's the closest trauma center? If you needed a higher level of care for any reason, those are the things that you'll want to think about. Like I said, if you find a place that you like really fall in love with, that is going to be helpful. All right. Y'all notice the name here, right? That's my brother. He misses that Portuguese coffee. I know you do. I know you do. I know. See, it only took him a couple of days, and he was like, "Hey," he was sold. um, you want to think about neighborhoods, so it's a nice segue into neighborhoods. So medicines, right? Cost of medicines and pharmacy. We talked about hospitals, proximity to hospitals, neighborhoods. Think about neighborhoods. Walk those neighborhoods. Walk those neighborhoods at different times of day. During the daytime, kids go to school, right? Adults go to work, right? It might be super quiet. And then nighttime comes, right? Where are the bars? Where are the loud neighbors? Where are the festivals, right, that happen? You want to know these things. You want to find a neighborhood that you like, but you want to hit it different times of day, right? Is there a lot of noisy traffic? Is there construction from another building going on? Like, think about these things in a bigger space that is going to serve you well. Um, Proximity to bars and restaurants, if you want to indulge in cafe culture. For me, green space was important because I have a furry baby, right? So think about these things as it relates to your life. In addition, right, you want to think about means of transportation. I do not have a car. That is intentional. I don't want a car. Cars are expensive, particularly in Europe. Gas is expensive and tolls are expensive. Now, I've rented a car. You can rent a car for €10 a day, right? Especially off season. If you drive a standard stick shift manual, you can get those for about 10. Automatics cost much more, but you want to think about those things. Like, what is transportation? I pay €40 a month to ride 4 methods of transportation, unlimited. So I can ride the metro, the ferry, the convoyo, the train, and the bus. 4, uh, unlimited for the month with my Navigant card. That is the best thing. And I have about 10 different bus lines that run past my building. So think about that. Think about when you're thinking about neighborhoods, how are you going to get around? Are you going to be dependent on a car if you choose to have one? Maybe you have a need for it for you or your family. But if you're looking at public transportation, like where's the closest metro or train? Um, what's the schedule like? What about the twilight hours if you're out late? Do they have rideshare? So, case in point, when I went to Costa Rica, Uber was illegal. And even though the app opens and allows you to select a driver, ooh, every time I got an Uber, it was like a bad drug deal going down. I was like, what the heck? I get an Uber, like, you called it Uber? I'm like, oh my gosh. And, jumping out the car, throwing the luggage in, like, get down. And then I had the one where, because this was during COVID, and like I said, Uber is illegal in Costa Rica, even though the app is on there and they pick you up. And so if the police think that, you're in an Uber, they will stop the car, they will ticket the driver and impound the car and leave you on the side of the road. That is what happens. So Uber and ride shares are not like legal in all countries. I learned that. So, they'll prefer that you get the expensive ass taxis. Um, so yeah, so I remember it was during COVID and I was trying to go somewhere and the guy like wouldn't open the door because the police were like, I could see them and maybe he saw them too and was like, he didn't want them to get, see me get in his car. So fine, finally get past that. No, you got to sit in the front because if I sit in the back, then it looks like it's a ride share. If I sit in the front, then it looks like I'm just on like just chilling. So we come past, where the officers are, because they literally have these like checkpoints. And so get in the car, and he's driving around this like rotary, and we come to the checkpoint, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? So I'm just like acting like this is my because I don't want this man kicking us out and put me on the side of the road. I don't speak enough Spanish to get through this interaction. And like, I don't want to be in that country no more anyway. Oh my gosh, it was a scouting trip from hell. It was a scouting trip from hell. Yeah, it was a mindset adjustment, but I don't like a car payment. I don't like a car payment. I don't want to pay no gas, no maintenance, no nothing, no insurance, no nothing. I saw that video with the rats on the MTA. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And y'all know I'm from the city, so look, I don't know. It is what it is. It's like, wow. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, I didn't see the question for this one, but yes. So if you're looking for open up your bank account in Portugal, there's a link in the description of this video for Border. That's who I used, and there's also a video on this channel that I explain like the whole process. So you can check that out too. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let me start this question. I see a couple questions. Okay, and let me go. Let me make sure. Yes, Greta said hit the like button, y'all. Yes, $20,000 for a 3-day hospital stay. It's my brother Mrs. Carrot Cake. I told you stop talking about the carrot cake, because then I'm gonna get up tomorrow and I'm gonna want to go to the get carrot cake, but not tomorrow, because tomorrow morning I gotta get up early because I gotta go to my Pilates class, and I gotta come back and shower, and then we're doing the beach club. Mm-hmm. Because it's gonna be 80 tomorrow. What? Yes. All right. Okay. Um, Lord, I gotta speed this up. Okay, public transportation, cost of furniture. I did this on my scouting trip last year. So when I came to Portugal in April of 2023, like I came in April of 2022, I came in April of 2023. April is a great time of year. And started looking at furniture. So what's the cost of furniture? Why is this important? This is important because some of you might be considering moving your furniture. When I was in the States and I was originally planning to move to New Zealand, I purchased new furniture in, when did I move? 2018. So I had gotten all new furniture. Some of it was custom. And my thought at the time, even though it was a lot of money, I'll never do that again. But I was like, oh, you know what? It's okay, because I'm going to, ship it to New Zealand. And also in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I'll have a corporate move and then they can foot the bill for it. Mm-mm. 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 Don't do it, friends. If you can, like, avoid shipping big pieces of furniture, do it. But take this time, declutter, but also look at the cost of replacing things. So, biggest expensive things that I've purchased in this apartment is my bed, because I will always spend good money on a bed, and my couch. Those are the only two things that was like over $1,000. Everything else was pretty reasonable. But I knew that because what I wanted to do, and for those of you who are in Blaxit Global Passport, you already have access to that workshop on budgeting. So I wanted to like make my budget as like foolproof as possible. So I went and I was like, okay, what are the things that I'm going to need for my apartment? Because I was like, well, if I get it furnished, probably not an issue. But if I don't, I need to also know what that cost is because I'm not a surprise type of girl. And so I went to furniture stores and I looked at the prices of things that I wanted to get, and I would take pictures and look it up online, look at styles, sizes. So depending on where you're moving to in the world, metric system, centimeters, meters. I'm still learning, right? Grams, kilograms, that whole thing. But you want to look at the cost of things. This way you can have a really good budget and an idea. Especially, like I said, if it's a country that you're falling in love with, you want to know these things in advance. Yes, Jess said, hit that like button. Yes, please. Because we're inching towards 5,000 subscribers. Ooh. Yeah. You can have that. I know. And then while you were here, we did not have those 80-degree weather days. When my brother was here, I had my big jacket on. It was cold. It was cold that week. I was like, dang. Yes. My brother will tell you, he had a new appreciation. He went, look at here, I'm telling this business. He went home with a loaf of carrot cake from Portugal. A big old loaf. Yes. And it was good because I didn't even, he spotted that. The carrot cake here, okay, I'm going to tell you about the carrot cake. The carrot cake here is, wow. It's orange. It smells like carrots. You can taste the carrots. And then some of them put the nuts in it, but it has the chocolate frosting. Ooh, 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 ooh. And it's so moist. Ooh, 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 ooh. See, he ate that thing up. Yes. And he spotted it because I was like, is that carrot cake? And I'm like, no, because I had never seen orange carrot cake with chocolate frosting on the top. And I didn't know the word for carrot cake. I now know the word for carrot cake. And so I had to get my translate out. But I was like, oh, I don't know. That thing is good, good, good. Go to Padaria Portuguesa, right? Portuguesa. Yeah, Padaria Portuguesa. That's where you want to go. Ooh, 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 ooh. Or you can go to Baga. They both sell it. Good. Okay. Co-working spaces. So for those of you digital nomads, right, work from anywhere, you may want to check out co-working spaces. How much do they cost? Where are they in the city if they're available, if that's something that's important to you? You also want to, on that same thread, look at internet speeds. If you're anything like me, right, my business is online, right? I have the Blaxit Global Passport community. We do our accountability groups. We do workshops. I host events like I said, this webinar on Saturday, the Move to Portugal Summit. It's important that I have the ability to have high-speed internet. I also do coaching calls. Some of you have had coaching calls with me. If you're interested in a coaching call, you have the link in the description of this video. So I need to have good internet. So you may want to do speed tests. Make sure it's stable. And think about the cost of internet. I used to pay a lot of money for internet and phone. But in Portugal, I have high-speed internet, phone, TV, 170 channels, and a landline for 56 a month. 56 for all the things. All the things. All the things. Mind you, I'm still paying my Verizon phone in the US for 2 lines. Oh yeah, and before I even tell you that part, my mobile is 20 gigs a month. They don't roll over. But then the other day, I think I told you this part the other day, um, I got a text message from the phone company and they were like, hey, and I couldn't, like, it was in Portuguese. So I was like, I think this is what it says, but I'm not sure. And then I checked it later and translate. And they're like, oh, we want to make you happy. And I was like, okay, how are you making me happy? We're going to give you 50 extra gigs. So I had 70 gigs of data. I'm like, I put on all the apps. I took that slider. I'm like, cellular data. Boop, boop, boop. Watching all the YouTube videos. Go to sleep with YouTube on. Like, what? Yes. For all of it. The whole kit and caboodle. Yes. Yep. I'm starring these. I think I'm almost at the end. Oh, no. I did. I got to the end of my list. Okay. So now I'm going to questions. All right. I was like, did I get through all of my list? Okay. All right. So, do I remember Stewart's ice cream heads for try? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And Indian Ladder, because I remember their apple cider donuts. This is where I used to live. So I know some of y'all are like, what is she talking about? But I used to live in Albany. Where I couldn't find an affordable hotel or Airbnb near Lisbon. Any recos? I've never stayed in a hotel. Oh, that was another one. I'll just add it here. Try and stay in Airbnbs, even though I'm not a fan of Airbnb right now. I've switched to VRBO, but try and stay in an Airbnb or some short-term accommodation. Doesn't have to be Airbnb in the neighborhoods that you're thinking of moving to. Why? It'll help you kill two birds with one stone, right? Because if you do like 2-3 days in a neighborhood that you're seriously considering, you'll get to stay in different times of the day. So you'll kind of know, like, is this going to jive? And then you'll get like more of a feel. I feel like when you're in a hotel and you're doing your scouting trip, doesn't really give you the full appreciation of neighborhoods, of what it's like to be a local. It's a little far removed from that experience. And it's hard to answer that question, Jess, too, because affordability is subjective. But I would say depending, and time of year also makes a difference. But if you can't find a hotel or Airbnb, I know there's some hostels. I know Rick and Halisi have done a video on their channel. And there are groups in like Lisbon groups, if you search those on Facebook, that have accommodation. So it might be like a room, or somebody might be going to their home country and then they're renting out their space for, I've seen 3 months, a month, literally every day. Someone is listing something. So that also could be an option for you or anybody else. Clinics. I've not gone to a clinic, but I've seen them around. I got mine through Border, and there's a video on the channel. And the links in the description. So FedEx, one of our members learned the hard way about trying to get something out via FedEx. Don't do it. DHL is the best way to go. Definitely DHL. The mail is privatized here, CTT. I have not used it, although I probably should go because something I think got returned. They don't tell you. It's not like in the States where they like put a sticker and say, "Oh, we missed you." Mm-mm. And as much as I really have issues with the U.S. Postal Service, the at least I know if something was attempted, right, or I can track something. This I have not gone down that rabbit hole, but DHL I had to ship something a few weeks ago, no issues. Mm, nope, I'm in a brand new building in a brand new apartment. I am the first body in this space, so I have not had a deal, thankfully, with mold or mildew. But I know some people who have. So that's where you want to have think about where you want to live. So, for example, I know in my list of criteria, which I still have, um, and I'll be sharing that with the crew that's in the Scout House. Um, so I would not be in a sub floor. So, for example, in Portugal, it's not like, in the US, you have the first floor. Here, the first floor is zero. So, I wouldn't live on zero or anything below because we also have minus. So, we have like -1, -2, -3. Um, and I don't think they go lower than that. But anyway, I wouldn't live on street level and I wouldn't live below because water, right? It's going to go down, mold, mildew. Some people use different ways, like to heat to keep mildew and mold from accumulating. Open windows, have fans and things like that. But again, doing that runs up electricity. So I would just like, if you can, rent something new or newer, like remodeled. But mold and mildew, it's not something I would be comfortable with. Uh, I mean, you sleep at night, right? So you're going to be breathing in all that stuff. Not good for the lungs. Mm-mm. Gyms and Pilates studio. Pilates studio is amazing. I love my Pilates instructor. I love the studio. It's very relaxing. Although she kicked my butt last week. Ooh, last Saturday. It was so bad because I have to take a bus and then 2 trains to get to the studio. And then I have to walk what I call the big ass hill from the bottom of Marquise de Pombal up to by a little past the Ritz. And it's just a big hill. So I call that the workout before the workout. So, I do my workout before the workout, right? I get up the hill, had my class. Ooh. So I'm walking down the hill very slowly now because now I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got my ass kicked. And then I take the 2 trains, and then all I had to do is take the bus home. I had no energy left. I had to call an Uber to get me from the train home, which, it's a 19-minute walk or a 10-minute bus ride. I couldn't even. I was like, okay, I can't even move anymore. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Um, I don't know. He's in the comments. Damone, are you moving to Portugal? I'll leave that for him to answer. Let's see. Where did I purchase my furniture? It's the second question I've gotten today. It was so funny. I got a message from one of our members that's moving here. They just got their apartment. Yay, yay, yay. So I got my furniture from Conforama and Sclum. Sclum is an online retailer, and they're based in the UK. Kafarama is here. I'm currently interested in slow travel. Are there any recommendations for a list of places that will rent 1 to 2 months depending on the area? I would say if you have a area that you're looking to go, definitely search Facebook groups. They have all of these. So if you think about like Lisbon or Porto or insert whatever city, you'll find, rooms, apartments in city X, right? Join those groups. You'll see listing over listings. And that's the best way because, like I said, people will. I know one person here in particular, they travel quite often. And so they're always listing their flat. And you're never going to see that on like an Idealista. They're just not going to be posted there. You want to be in those groups where those conversations happen. Obviously, you also want to vet as much as possible. So that's where it goes back to what I said earlier about getting plugged in to locals as well as like expat communities, because this way you can at least, to the best that you can, get either word of mouth, make sure this person is legit. Scammers do exist in all parts of the world. Portugal is no different. And so you just want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody reputable, because you don't want to be in a position where somebody's subletting their apartment and they don't have the authorization to do that. And then the landlord finds out and wants to put you on the street. Then what do you do? It depends on what city that you're looking for, Dantes. There are some short-term places. Lynette, if you're still on here, I know you used a place when you came and did your scouting trip, and that was a short-term place. That's the only one I could think of offhand, but there's like, Flatio. Flatio is one, and I think Flatio is not limited to Portugal. Flatio is where you can find short-term rentals. So there are places you can do Airbnb, you can do Flatio, you can even just type in short-term rentals, and then I'm sure there's a bunch of sites that I've not even plugged into that'll pop up. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of Airbnb anymore, and so I know that there's a budding short-term rental market, but that's what I would do. Yes, carrot cake is a beautiful thing. Let's see. Okay. Angel. I know the weather is relatively mild, but when it gets colder below 50, how do you deal with heating your apartment since Portugal doesn't have central heating? That thing, see it right there? That is my heat, and that is also my air conditioner. So there's one in every bedroom and in the living room. And so I don't have it in here tonight because it's been warm, so I don't have them on, but I have a remote and just bloop, heats up. And then when it gets cold, boop. But I also live in a brand new building in a brand new apartment. So it doesn't take much to heat or cool this place. And it's very energy efficient. So fun fact for those of you who are looking at Portugal, there are energy ratings on appliances or energy ratings, which you're familiar with in the States, but also on, spaces that you inhabit and occupy. So this one is a B. So it's lettered. And I knew that I didn't want to go any place or consider a place lower than a C, because then it takes that much more to heat or cool. And having heating and cooling was a must on my list because I have my fur baby. So 90-degree weather, she's here. I didn't want to have to deal with that whole thing. So for me, I couldn't entertain an apartment that didn't have air conditioning. No, I haven't heard of that one. I've never done a hostel before, to tell you the truth. I have not. I have not. I think I got all the questions. Let me see. I think I did. I think we might be good, y'all. All right. I hope your scouting is off to, I hope this inspired you for your scouting, give you some things to consider. For those of you who want to take a deeper dive, you can, I think it's in the description here, you can purchase the Blaxit Global Move Abroad course. And that is a full-on course about moving abroad. And we also go into scouting in that one. Hey, Malcolm. Hey. So you can purchase the Blaxit Global Move Abroad course. I go more in depth on everything you need to know to get ready for your move abroad, irrespective of country. It is not Portugal specific. I don't even think I mentioned Portugal at all, actually. And then, as I mentioned, if you are interested in moving to Portugal, you can get the replays of the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. Also, you will want to, if you haven't already, gotten your ticket for the meetup. I am going to be co-hosting our summer meetup with our friends, our Black Utopia, and it is during Juneteenth. So June, I said Juneteenth and I said July. June 17th and 18th. Definitely tap on in because the price is about to change. So if you're on the fence, get off the fence, get your ticket. So we will be doing a boat party and living it up here in Lisbon, Portugal. And what else do I need to tell you? Yes, let me give you the link for the summit, Miss D. Give me 1 second. Oh, and then friendly reminder for those of you who are interested in Portugal specifically, our immigration attorney friend, Sandra Gomes Pinto, is hosting a free webinar this Saturday. The link I will place in the description of this video once we're done, but I will be hosting that. So if you have any questions, definitely submit those to Sandra's office, and we will be answering as many as we can, or she will be answering. I'm not a lawyer. I will be facilitating. She will be answering. I am not a lawyer. I was only in law school for like 2.5 months. Let's see. What else? Oh, yes, I am. I already got my tickets to see Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. Yes, baby. I am going to be in the jazz festival. Good night, Jametta. Good night, Jess. All right, y'all. I will be back next week. I will have Michelle from Casa Elm here. Be sure to listen this Monday to the Blaxit Global podcast, new episode. For those of you who are YouTube channel members, you will get that episode tomorrow. For those of you who are Blaxit Global Passport members, you will get that episode tomorrow. That is some of the perks of being in our community. So look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, be well, enjoy, and ciao, ciao for now.